This could have been the spark that started a new civil war.
A Coloradan testified in the January 6th hearing against the extremist group he used to be part of.
They may not like to call themselves a militia, but they are.
And tonight we look at the rise of extremism in Colorado and what's being done to stop it.
These are really normal needs that people have, and they're finding a horrible way to fill them.
Months worth of serious violations are uncovered at a Southern Colorado District Attorney's office.
We've never gotten to this point before.
The Attorney General says victims' rights were violated. Victims are now having their voices heard.
I was told I would never be believed. Nobody would take it seriously.
We begin with breaking news tonight at 6. A 2-acre fire burning in Jefferson County, putting residents on high alert. This is just south of Morrison. The Snow Creek fire burning in the area off Highway 8 and US 285.
And this is right near the Willow Springs subdivision. And Jeffco deputies say pre-evacuation notices were sent out to about 60 homes. One home has been evacuated at the top of the ridge where the fire is burning. Now, as we look at this live picture from Air Tracker 7, thankfully, most of the flames have been knocked down. Deputies are confident that no structures will be damaged and no further evacuations will have to go into place. We'll, of course, keep watching for you and keep you posted, but winds are starting to die down as well. Good evening, and thank you for watching Denver 7 News at 6. I'm Andrew Heel.
I'm Shannon Ogden. Glad you're with us tonight. Political extremism took center stage in the nation's capital today. The committee investigating the January 6th insurrection focused on the role extremist groups played on that day.
And one of the committee's main testimonies came from Jason Van Tatenhove. He's from Estes Park and is a former spokesman of the Oath Keepers. Van Tatenhove says the group went from a network of people worried about government overreach to a hateful extremist group that spewed and profited from conspiracy theories.
He says his time.
They may not like to call themselves a militia, but they are. They're a violent militia, and they are largely Stewart Rhodes. And I think, rather than try to use words, I think the best illustration for what the Oath Keepers are happened January 6th, when we saw that stacked military formation going up the stairs of our Capitol.
And political extremism is on the rise in Colorado.
So what is behind this rise in extremism, and is something happening in Colorado to contribute to it?
Denver 7 political reporter Megan Lopez spoke to experts today. And Megan, social media certainly has a role in this.
Yeah, that's right, Shannon and Ann. Social media has made it easier than ever for people with extreme ideas to connect with one another, and the pandemic drove people to social media. One expert I spoke with says that extremism needs to be treated like a public health crisis.
My time with the Oath Keepers began back at Bundy Ranch.
It's rare to get an inside look at an extremist group.
They're a violent militia.
Rare to hear about what motivates them and how they gain their followers.
The perpetration of violence, the swaying of people who may not know better through lies and rhetoric and propaganda that can get swept up in these moments. And I'll admit I was swept up at one point as well, too.
Extremist groups took the spotlight on January 6th when they marched into the U.S. Capitol to try to stop the certification of the 2020 election. 14 Coloradans were arrested, though not all were connected to extremist groups. 3 others were arrested recently in Idaho near a pride event dressed in riot gear.
It's gotten worse.
The director of the Colorado Division of Homeland Security, Kevin Klein, says extremism is on the rise.
And in Colorado, there has been an increase in the searches that domestic violent extremists do.
According to the Southern Poverty Law Center, Colorado has 18 extremist groups, including big names like the Proud Boys.
The white supremacist groups, the white nationalists, we're definitely concerned about those.
Hate crimes in Colorado are also up 54% from last year, much higher than the national average.
Incidents of, papering where white supremacist groups are putting anti-Semitic stickers and placards up in different public spaces.
Psychologist Rachel Nielsen says the pandemic isolated people, but it also connected extremists.
Now people can radicalize 100% online. And that's what we found is these are really normal needs that people have, and they're finding a horrible way to fill them.
And these groups are getting clever at recruiting, using games, apps, and more. Mental health is another major factor. So the way she sees it,
I would relate this to a public health issue, and we're really on the national level and on the state level addressing this as a public health issue. That this is tapping into the mental health issues.
So Klein says it's important for people to consider their own role in perpetuating extreme views with what they share or they like or they retweet on social media. All of us play a role in this.
Wow. All right. Megan Lopez, thank you very much for that. And the Anti-Defamation League tracks hate crimes all over the country and breaks down the number per state reported. And over the past year, the ADL reported 204 total incidents here in Colorado. A vast majority of these were categorized as white supremacist or anti-Semitic.
A CU Boulder police officer has been fired after an investigation into comments he made on Reddit. Former CU PD officer Drew Matthews is accused of writing anti-homeless and anti-black comments on a Reddit post back in April. Matthews was placed on administrative leave during the investigation. Now, in a statement, the department says they are committed to professional standards and that Matthews could no longer effectively perform his duties for the university.
A new development tonight in a Denver 7 investigation. Colorado's Attorney General now says the San Luis Valley's top prosecutor violated victims' rights and the law. Phil Weiser announced an independent monitor now will oversee the DA's office there. Denver 7 investigative reporter Jennifer Kovaleski, of course, reporting on this for a while and on the questionable plea deals. Jen, this is all happening as the recall effort against that DA moves forward.
Shannon, and we will know by the end of the week when that recall election will happen. Victims we talked to today say they still want District Attorney Alonzo Payne removed from office.
We've never gotten to this point before.
Colorado's Attorney General didn't hold back.
Not only have I not seen Victims' Rights Act violations of this magnitude, but in the entirety of the Victims' Rights Act in Colorado history.
Phil Weiser says he found serious violations of victims' rights by the San Luis Valley District Attorney.
We were prepared to prove that in court if necessary. Because we were able to reach an enforceable agreement, that wasn't necessary.
Under the agreement, an independent monitor will oversee District Attorney Alonzo Payne and his office. The outside monitor will make sure the DA's office complies with the Victims' Rights Act. What is your message to victims?
Our message is we hear you, we see you, and what you endured during the criminal justice process is wrong.
Denver 7 Investigates has spent months exposing DA Payne's questionable plea deals and how his office failed to follow up with crime victims as required by law.
I'm very grateful for the work that the Attorney General's office has done.
Lonnie Welch was one of the first victims to file a complaint against the DA. She's a survivor of domestic violence and told us back in May how the district attorney disrespected her.
I was told I would never be believed. Nobody would take it seriously. And DA Payne proved that.
Her ex-fiance was arrested for third-degree assault and stalking, but the DA agreed to a drastically reduced charge of stealing a phone.
The second plea, I was notified the Friday before the court. No, I did not agree.
Lack of compliance in this case is deeply problematic.
Welch called the AG's announcement a step forward, but she still wants to see the DA recalled.
DA Payne needs to be removed from office and possibly held criminally accountable for some of his actions.
And the city of Alamosa has taken the rare step of using taxpayer money to fund the recall against Payne.
We feel the risk to our community. We just can't go another 3 years.
After we couldn't reach the DA, we tracked him down outside his office in Alamosa. Mr. Payne, we've been trying to get in touch with you. Jennifer Kovaleski with Denver 7.
Jennifer, how are you?
And Payne agreed to go in front of our cameras. He took some accountability for violating victims' rights, but was unapologetic for his take on criminal justice reform.
I ran on changing the criminal legal system. I ran on emptying the jails. I intend to do it, and I'm doing it.
That interview with DA Payne was several months ago. He has not returned our calls or emails today about the agreement with the AG. I'm Denver 7 investigative reporter Jennifer Kovaleski.
Thank you, Jen. A heartbreaking story tonight out of El Paso County. A 6-year-old little boy has died after being bitten by a rattlesnake. This little boy is Simon Currett. He was bitten during a bike ride last week in Security Widefield. The little boy passed away over the weekend at Children's Hospital Aurora. There is a GoFundMe to help Simon's family, and we will have that information posted for you on our website.
An alert tonight from Castle Rock Police. They want to hear from parents of children who may have been victimized by a Taekwondo instructor. Now take a look at your screen. This is 31-year-old Eric Chen. He was arrested last Thursday in Aurora on felony charges related to sexual exploitation of a child. Police say the charges stem from incidents that happened between the beginning of 2019 and early 2021 when Chen ran camps as an instructor at Han Lee's Taekwondo Academy. These incidents happened throughout Douglas County and Aurora. Currently, he's being held at the Douglas County Jail on a $250,000 bond. If you think your child may have been a victim, please reach out to police.
This nonprofit is used to giving people second chances.
We started doing it about 28 years ago.
Now they're hoping they can get one themselves.
That's our biggest problem right now, is trying to find a place where we can move in and stay in for a little while.
Mid-90s today, hotter tomorrow. Are there any triple digits in the 7-day?
The images are out of this world, and the work to make them possible is happening right here in our backyard.
What the James Webb is doing is pretty mind-blowing.